Hello, campers, and welcome to another Thursday night live around the campfire. Tonight, I'm perplexed. I'm a little bit. What do we do now? Yeah, like there's so much stuff going on in the planet. There's so many things going on in our media, in politics, in all our opportunities. What do we do now? So I'm going back to my heart, and I'm going back to people I know that come from love, because I want to listen to my heart so that we can talk about this, which is epic. So tonight we've got Karen Chaston. How are you?
Good, thank you. Great to be here.
Good to have my heart back. Thank you very much. Lisa Jayne, how are you?
Sensational today, Scott. How are you?
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Oh, actually, that is true that I'm fantastic today. Somebody very close to me passed away today. And I'm forever grateful that this man came into my life. And if it's okay with everybody, I would like to share a little bit of this because it's a little bit to do with what we're talking about at the moment, what we're doing now. March this year, I spent a bit of time in hospital with some heart issues, and I was lucky enough to be put in a ward with a gentleman by the name of Carl. Carl was an amazing man, and he passed away today. Passed away from cancer, and when we were in hospital together, I got to know him. I spent my time with him, learning him. 4 to 5 days, full on, just him and I, just really nutting it out. His wife gave me this necklace, and I cannot take it off. It gives me strength, it gives me hope, and it gives me the courage to do the things I need to do. Today, we say goodbye to Carl. But he's not going anywhere because he lives in my heart. He lives deeply within my heart. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity that I have to share this journey called life with him. I had the opportunity for him to share how he was scared about passing on. 6 weeks ago, he rang me to just talk about the fact that he'd been revived twice and he's had enough of it. It takes too much toll on his body. And we talked about, has he had all the conversations he needs to have? Has he opened his heart to the people he needs to open to? I stood there in tears of joy that man had a safe place to talk. I sat there and just shared the love with a man that I've only known for a moment in time, but I feel like I've known forever. I got to love a man in his end of days, and he loved me. Just a moment in time. Carl, thank you for teaching me how to love further. So tonight, and I wanted to open that up because I've gone back into my heart. I've come back to my love, my team. You know, Steve's not here tonight. That's unfortunate. He's been called out last minute, which is fine. But in a world in which we've basically been run on fear for the majority of our existence, where everything's been by conquer, fear, taken, ownership. We're at a point in life where that's time to challenge that. Right now, if you're listening to your gut and your heart, you feel this turmoil. You know it's inside. What do we do now? Where do we turn to next? Who are the people? Who do we trust? How do we know how to trust? What's next? Karen, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this.
I've got to go to what's next for Carl first, because after hearing his transitioning, I had the pleasure of reading a book in 2001, which was called Life on the Other Side by Sylvia Browne. And it was the most amazing book. It was what I call my first knowing book. So as I turned every page, I literally went, I've never heard this before, but I know it's true. And the whole book was like that. I just knew inside of me, and I'm sure we've all read books like that, whether we want to own it or not. It was a really remembering book. And in that, it talks about that when we pass and we go over, we're meted by all of our past loved ones, family, friends, everyone, and we have a party, we have a reunion party, and then we do our life review. So not sure what stage Carl is at the moment, but it's an amazing way. And I can see why he said to you, I'm not scared of death, because it's just like your next adventure. So for Carl, I hope you're enjoying meeting up with all of your past loved ones. I'm sure you are. And, you know, this was a book that 10 years later, after reading it initially, I grabbed like 10, 20 copies of it when my son passed, because everyone was like, oh my God, you know, it was sudden. He hadn't been sick. He literally went out. We thought he was healthy and he was dead the next day. So it was a book that really helped people to go, oh, wow, this is what Dan's doing. So it was like an insight into what happens. So Carl, cheers to you and good on you for being there for him, Scott. So that I just had to say that first.
Thank you for saying that, because it's, you know, often people wonder what is afterlife. Where are we at? And I know that you're experiencing that, and I think it's something that a lot of people fear death. And lately, Oscar and I have been talking about that. And I don't fear death. I fear not living. You know, the time between born and death, there's a part there that you have to live. So I'm going to do my best to do that, and to do that, you know, we take in conversations and we grow from these. So and that's, I just thank you, Carl, for giving me a little bit more heart. He lives with me in my heart. People live with you when you connect with that emotion and that love. They live. People live. It's just amazing.
What it sounds like to me, Scott, is that you both took your masks off. You both had those vulnerable conversations where you sort of were raw, and that's why you're so connected, just from the way you've described it. That's what I'm feeling. How about you, Lisa?
Oh, I'm happy to listen to this conversation. I'm like, that's true. Yeah, absolutely agree. Like it's who you showing each other who you really are, right? It's like, this is me. This is my heart. This is who I really am. And it's beautiful. And I think that, you know, I haven't had a lot of experience with death myself, but I think that when you get to that place, it's almost like, what's the point of holding on to all the identities, all the beliefs and all the things that you've constructed about yourself, because they really don't have much meaning when you're at that place in your life. Really, the only thing that has meaning, I believe, is the love and the connection that you feel around you. That's the only thing that sort of you can go, wow, this has actually got substance.
I love that, because you ever notice how at funerals, we always hear about the amazing things that happen to people, and those stories that are just so authentic, because you can feel the emotion in them, and how, you know, that real connection and that heart feeling. I want to live that. I don't want to pass and not know those stories with people. I want to know. I want to take the mask off. Let's take the masks off where we are right now in our society. Are we brave enough to just, I'm me. No apologies. I'm me. I hope we are. I hope we are. And like, off track to go on track to where we're talking tonight. This is what it's about. You know, like, where are we at in life right now? How, taking the mask off, is it important? There's nods going on here everywhere.
Yeah.
How do we do that? Do we need leaders? Do we need new leaders and a new leadership style? But first, I'm going to ask you, Karen, go back to the original question. What now?
It's interesting that we started, we talked about what we did, and then we went into the mask situation. I honestly feel that's what the stopping was all about. For us to all come back to what's important in your life. What do you love? What brings you joy? You know, what really makes your heart sing? And in that, I feel that a lot of us went, you know what, I don't need all this stuff. I don't need to have all of this stuff around me. So I feel what's next, especially if you've taken the time to do that deep dive and started to reconnect to you, it is about us going, what can I get rid of in my life, and what do I want in my life, and how can I move forward, and how can I bring everything to love? And I'm pretty sure Lisa Jane's the same. I started this journey like back in 2013. So I think it made it a little bit easier for me because I'd done that hard road along the way to here. But there's always a lot of shedding and stuff, that emotional, physical, obviously spiritual. There's always a lot to do. But for me, what I feel is what next is us all coming back to love. You know, you touched on what's our new leaders going to look like. They're going to have empathy. You know, and it's been coming for a while with some great, you know, leaders and with some great people who are speaking and planting ideas and stuff like that. You know, Simon Sinek has been talking about the empathetic leader for many years, probably, you know, 8-10 years. And I love that idea of, you know, not going to, you know, just if we bring it into a business environment, not walking up to someone and saying, well, your numbers are down. If you don't get them out, you're out of here. As opposed to, your numbers are down. What's going on? How can I help you? That's what I feel we're going more towards. And it is about understanding people, because we're all different, but we're all very, very similar. That's what I'm feeling is the stepping stone. And we've got to go through the chaos. We've got to be all butterflies, you know, fighting to get out of that cocoon in order for us to fly. And that's where I feel we are at the moment. And I guess that's the best and easiest way for everyone to visualize and to see it.
Yeah, well put. And I like the visualization of butterflies coming out of the cocoon, right? I think that's beautiful, because I think it is a time that we do get to grow wings and fly.
Yeah.
I love it. So thank you. Lisa?
I think there's a lot of, at the moment, what's happening, especially for Australians, and the division that we're facing and the conflict that a lot of people are facing. I think that's really calling us at the moment. Like, this is the opportunity for us to go, okay, I can stay in that problem and I can be unhappy and I can resist that, because we're going to have a feeling about it, right? It's okay to have a feeling. It's valid that we would have a feeling with what's going on, because it is so abnormal. It is so unnatural. It is so against the laws of harmony, truth, and love, that regardless of where you stand, there's a part of you that doesn't feel right, I'm sure, because it is not natural what's happening. So we're all going to have feelings around it. And I fully believe that the reason we're being placed in these sometimes excruciatingly feeling situations is because we're actually being called to make a choice. If we weren't pushed to this place, we wouldn't actually make the choice of, you know what, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live in this consciousness. I don't want to live in a place where people are ostracized for reasons that are just whatever, however, whatever reason. I don't want to live in a society that uses fear to achieve results, that has greed as its underlying way of operating, that has always split one person against the other. That is not the realm that I want to live in. And unless it's in my face as much as what it's been in my face, I'm actually not going to go, oh, you know what? I can step out of this now. And the moment that I step out of that realm and I start to create what I do want to live in and move towards where I want to go, I'm actually creating a new realm for everybody. So I believe that this is the point, the pivotal point we're at now. We've had enough time to feel what we feel about where we're at. We've had enough time to really go, wow, this is really challenging to feel through. We've had this convalescent period, if you want to call it that, where we've all felt stuff and not known how to move out of it. I've heard stories of people, anxiety attacks, look, all of the things that have been brought to the surface in the last year and a half. And now we're moving to the place where, okay, do you want to stay there? You can stay there on either side of the fence if you want. That's fine. Or do you want to move into a realm where there is no fence? There is no division. This is a new realm. And we choose to live in that realm, and we start to move towards that realm. And in doing so, we actually create that for everybody. And we are the ones that have to create it. It's not going to happen for us. So we had to be put into the place where we would start creating that for all of us. That is the realm where there's not just one heart, there is a universal heart. And the universal heart is what we're moving towards. And that's definitely where I want to go. So I think, well, I know that's where I'm going. Yeah. I'd like to say, do you want to come with me?
Where do I buy a ticket?
Yeah, exactly.
Guess what? You know what?
Yeah,
it doesn't cost you anything.
Exactly.
All it costs you is a little bit of willingness and a little bit of openness and a little bit of vulnerability. There you go.
Yep. That sounds amazing. I agree with you, Lisa. Totally.
So I think when you ask me what are we like, I say these things, and I think sometimes I know I would have gone at one point probably, what are you talking about? Like, this is like if you're a fish living in water and somebody's trying to describe sand to you, it's like you don't know what you don't know. And what I think is really important now, and there's going to be a lot of people, I believe, on this planet now that are going to be giving us the keys that we need to start moving in that direction. So it's like I talk about what sort of words do we use when we're in communication with people? What sort of relationships do we have? Because the relationships look completely different in that realm than what they do over here. There's a completely different dynamic. We're not talking about these repetitive cycles that we're all used to. We're talking about an emerging process. So how do we do that? And there are people on the planet now that are talking about how to actually move into an emerging process, and you'll find them. They're out there. They're talking about it. So there's all these, because it has to be practical, right? We're in a human body. We need to know, how do we deal with the things that upset us now? Because we've got to deal with them differently to what we did before. We need to know how to speak to our children. We need to know how to speak to our partners. We need to know how to move through the emotional upsets, because if we don't be in the emotional cycle that we're in this emotional process, then we trap the emotion and we just relive it over and over and over and over again, and we feel fearful and anxious, and like that doesn't belong where we're going or where I'm going. So I've had to learn a whole new way of living. Actually, it's a new way of living, and I don't think it's new. I've got to restate that. It is actually our natural way of living. It's part of who we are. It's just that the programming and all the other things that we've learnt and been taught has moved us so far away from our natural way that I need to remember how to live like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Remember who we are. I had a good friend who's a CrossFit coach, and she hit me when we first started training together. I said, I know we're going to train physically together, but I want to know your life philosophy so that I actually want to spend time with you, so that we can actually grow further than just train physically, train mentally, because I believe that in order to be the best version of me, I need to be as strong as I can physically, mentally, nutritionally, spiritually, just to keep myself at my optimum for me, to be the best version of me. So she hit me up with, just need to remember who you are. I'm like, I never understood that. I sat with it for a long time, but now I'm learning, and I think this is the greatest opportunity we've ever had. Like, there's so much information out there that we're at a time of existence where there's information overload. So what do we take in?
But can I just ask you, Scott, like, you've been through this remembering process, and I think this is sometimes this is where it gets difficult for people we don't often explicitly say what that means. You know, like people used to say to me like 15 years ago, get into your heart. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. I'm in my heart. You know, I thought I knew. But like nobody really explicitly told me what that was about. And it wasn't until I had awakening that I went, oh, this is what they mean, right? So can you describe explicitly what are the steps that you do to remember? What did you do to start remembering? What are the things like, you know, in ABC? Tell me, you know, because I'm really curious about that process, because I don't think we verbalize this enough for each other.
Brilliant. I love it. And I love the fact that you've hit me on this, because it's something for me that to remember who I am, I just have to own my story. Have no shame about my story and accept that it is as it is, and know that that's my way through life that I can choose to grow from. One of the greatest things that I do with people is sit and go through. I ask people to sit there and write out their life story for me in dot point, then go through it and open it up a bit. And we go through the story, and I'm listening for the emotional attachment to which parts of the story they give me, so that I can know them. When I know them, they know themselves better. I owned my story and shared it with everybody. It's in the campfire. I've grown through the campfire. My story has given me the strength to remember who I am. It's given me the compassion for myself so that I can give it to others. To remember is to own you and actually sit down. And I encourage everybody to sit down, put your life story on paper, dot point the things in your life that have been parts of your life that have made a difference. Share them with somebody so that they can sit there and ask questions and see things through a different set of eyes. Because then you open up your heart to possibilities. If we get beyond here and into and into here, that's our key to remembering. Here is like a computer. It stores all the information. This is where the energy and the emotions get.
So the stories have got you. The stories have got you out of, it's almost like clearing out the stories and sharing the stories and accepting the stories has allowed you to move into your heart.
100%.
Are you going to say something, Karen?
Yeah, I think there's a step before that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. I think that we live in a world of avoidance, right? And we have created an amazing avoidance world. Food, alcohol, drugs, working too much, Netflix, social media, avoid. Because then we don't have to deep dive into us. We don't have to feel those emotions. We can shove them down with whatever we choose to do. So I feel there's a step before you writing down your story. I feel you have to get past, you have to actually own this is avoidance, this is fun, right? Now, food, alcohol, drugs can be both, but you've got to know which one you are actually, why you are doing what you're doing, right? Working too much, you know, all these sort of things, they're all avoidance. So once you get into, right, I'm actually avoiding my life here. I'm not living it. I'm not loving it. So why am I avoiding my life? What is it that I'm avoiding? Is it I don't want to feel? I don't want to go into it. But then when you start to deep dive into your story, then it's about, this is a false belief. This is a good belief. This is that, you know what I mean? Because we all see things. We can all be in the same room at the same party, doing exactly the same thing in this circle, and we'll all remember something different about it. We'll all describe that night completely different because we see things from our belief systems. So it's about figuring out, well, what are my beliefs? And are they serving me or are they not? And then getting rid of them. So it's a process, and it's the more shoving, you know, sort of thing. And it's not easy. but it's so worthwhile, because as you said, Lisa, you're going to keep getting them from different people until you actually do that deep dive and figure out why this scenario keeps coming up in your life, you know, in order for you to figure it out. That's how I feel that you get into your heart. But I believe there's three brains. There's the thinking brain, the heart brain, and your gut brain. And it's your gut that is the one that is so connected to you. And once you can start to trust your gut and really feel into it, I think that is where you really do get into your heart even more, because you really start to know, like, and trust you.
I love this. So Scott's gone from here to here, and Karen's gone from here to here.
We
This
got
is
the
great.
three of them, the whole three of them.
I love this because Bill Bennett, who's a member of the Campfire Project, he and his wife taught me how to understand my intuition, how to trust my gut.
Yeah.
I trust my gut so much. I trust it, and I know that it's got my back.
Yeah. You know how you can really get it going? It's a really simple thing. I call it a conscious loving breath, right? So if you take a really deep breath into your belly, all the way down to your belly, right? Keep your shoulders down so your belly comes out like a Buddha belly. That will start to interact with, in our belly, we have all of these nerve endings which go all the way up to our hypothalamus. So through breathing into your gut, you're actually generating in your brain the beautiful feeling of actually bringing it all in. So you're bringing your gut in, your intuition, you're bringing your heart in, and then you're bringing your thinking brain in. So just through our breath, doesn't cost you any money. It's just a conscious, loving breath. And that's what you do. And that's how you start to get that energy flowing through your body, which will assist you to make those better choices where your ego is over here. Now, we all require ego, right? But it's just when it comes together and actually goes, no, this is the better way forward.
I love that. And Lisa, you've got some gold to put into that too, I know.
I'm just thinking about that because my gut's not really been a big driver for me. So I'm just thinking, I wonder why that is. Or, you know, for me, it's always been my heart, and the prompts are from my heart. So if I get a prompt, it's like, oh, there it is. There's just a prompt. And I feel that my awakening to moving into that place of heart and love and vulnerability and remembering who I was all about understanding my emotional world.
Yeah.
Because essentially we are feeling beings, and our life experience, an experience is a feeling. It's actually not a thinking, even though the world would have us believe so. It's a feeling. So in order for me to feel, I have to be at ease with my feelings. And yet we're raised to put our feelings over there somewhere. So from the moment we go to school, where we're always being encouraged to move away from our feeling self. And as we grow up, it's almost like who I am is not who I really am, because there's a part of me, my feeling self, which is over there somewhere.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I started to own that and understand my feeling self and bring it all home in a way that I became whole. And for me, that wholeness is what, that's who I am. That's the memory of all that I am. And you might feel that one of the things that I say a lot to the people I work with, it's so common to feel this feeling of there's a gap. I haven't quite fixed it. I haven't quite got my kid to the place where they're quite good enough. I haven't quite got the best house, or I haven't quite made myself the person I want to be. Like there's this gap, and it just doesn't seem to matter what you do or how much research you do or how many workshops you go to. There's still always this feeling of a gap. The gap is actually just the projection of the split within us. So when I realized that there was a part of me over here that I wasn't owning, and I owned it, the gap disappeared. There was nothing that was this thing inside me that I was trying to fill with alcohol or drugs or, whatever it was I was trying to fill it with. So I always talk in terms of emotion because that's my growth journey. My growth journey is all about emotion. So for me, when I understood my emotional world, I realized the incredible power that I have when I own all of me, because it's so powerful. I can protect myself. I trust myself. I believe in myself. I know what to do for myself. I know where not to go for myself. I know who not to trust. I know these things because I feel these things, and I fully own all that I am. And so it's incredibly powerful, and I think this is what, I believe anyway, why our emotions are like this next edge of our evolution as a species, because we haven't really explored it that much. We understand a lot of it from our head level, but to actually get into the world of emotions and understand how it works and what it's really all about, that's where our evolution is, I believe, anyway.
Yeah, it's about having your emotions as your friend instead of your enemy.
Yeah,
isn't it funny that in order to come whole, WHOLE, we have to fill the whole, HOLE, with inside us. And we do that by doing that deep dive, because we're never going to fill that hole with inside us from looking out of us. So it's really...
We're never going to fill the hole inside of us from looking out of us. Yes.
Yeah. The answers aren't out there. And we all look out there. Oh, I need another program, or I need another this, and that'll be my solution. And then you do it.
But that's the strategy, right? That's the strategy that we were taught. And even drinking or, like working too much, they're all strategies that we were never taught any other way. So there's nothing wrong. It's just that we were taught these really dysfunctional strategies of dealing with feelings of powerlessness and fear and anxiety and all the other things that we don't like dealing with.
Yeah, this is how you're successful, more. And we go, well, how do I cope with all this more? Okay, I know, I'll have a drink at the end of the day. Or I'll go shopping. It's retail therapy. All these sort of things. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I love this, right? Because I talk a bit about the Botoxing of life. Where are you putting fillers in to make it look like something that you're not? Because, and the more you Botox, the more filler you've got, the less authentic you are. And what is success these days? What is success? What now? Like, I feel like there's a new success that's becoming so important, and it's the internal success. We've looked for external success for so long, and listening to you now is giving me more conviction on finding more internal success, more key relationships that fill my heart, more connection, more connectivity. Where can I reach? How can I reach? How do I do this? Opening up conversations while walking, handing out socks. I was connecting with people like I've never done before. And those connections so real and alive. People I have never, ever met. We are in each other's hearts immediately. The fulfillment in me to be with people I've never met before is just beautiful. So what now? What does success look like? Karen, what is your eyes of success look like? Karen?
I think that question is going to be different for every single person, which is great. Because for so long, we've had the success book. This is it. Follow this, you'll be successful. This is the road to success. And how many people get there? And when they get there, they're still unfulfilled. They're still looking to fill that hole inside of them. And that's the thing. It's a question that I actually, one of the first questions in all of my programs that I get people to complete that. What does success mean to you? And it's not a overall thing. It's a deep dive into every single area of your life and actually deep dive into it and say, well, in this part of my life, this is what I would class as success. And it's always a starting point. It doesn't matter what your number is or where you're at. It's a starting point. It's a line in the sand so that you can then go, right, this is yesterday me. And tomorrow, when I fill this in, it'll be slightly different. But at least I know where I'm going and I know my action steps to get there. But it is about deep diving into every single area of your life, every single relationship in your life. You know, if you have 5 kids, there'll be 5 different success stories for you and that child because they're all different. They're all unique. And it's understanding that, you know, at this time, I will put more time into this part than I will for other, but I'm not going to let the other all fall apart. Like when I was in my corporate life, I spent 95% in my corporate life. And the rest of my areas of life just sort of hung in there. So no wonder I was unhealthy. No wonder I was drinking too much. No wonder my relationships were just sort of there. And no wonder I was always angry. But that's the difference is now that you can go, no, you can have success in all areas of your life, but it's about understanding where you are today and where you'll be tomorrow. And, you know, you'll never spend the same amount of physical time in each area, but you will spend time in it so that you can go, right, this is my starting point. That's where I want to go. And these are the steps to close that gap. So I think that is what most people would be ideal for them to do now because we're in this new world. No one's going back. And do we want to go back? After being out of it, do we really want to go back to where it was? So many people, you hear them, oh, when are we going to get back to normal? And my first response is, well, what's normal? Because what's normal for you is probably not normal for me. So, yeah, that's what I feel about success.
Yeah, I love it. I interviewed Oscar the other week, and I was actually talking about it today, and I said to him, right, I said, if it's your world that you could create, what would that world look like? Mm-hmm. He goes, well, Dad, it wouldn't be my world. It'd be our world. And everybody be doing things best that's suited for them. That is my best world. And I'm like, whoa, how beautiful. Because everybody does have a different opportunity, you know? And equality doesn't mean everybody's equal. It means everybody's got the same opportunity. And if we've all got the same opportunity to be the best versions of ourselves and deep dive into ourselves, the world that we create of acceptance and love, it's just curiosity would just be phenomenal. So thank you for that. I love this conversation a little bit too much. Lisa.
Just that funny, Scott. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you.
Oh, no, I know. It's awesome. Because it's funny, right? Like, here we are at a time of life for a lot of people that aren't quite sure where to go, what to do, what now, you know. There's 3 people on screen right now in love with life. Absolutely in love with life. If that looks magical to you, would you not want to reach out and find out what they're doing in order to make sure to give you that life, to give that love, to give you that glow? You know, this is what success looks like to me. So, thank you, Lisa. What does it look like to you at the moment?
Well, it's really interesting. I haven't really. I used to think about success a lot. I don't even really think about success. I feel that I could probably really just bring it right down to one moment. And if I feel completely at ease and in my peace and my love and my amness in this moment, then that's success.
Mm.
I'm taking that on at the moment. Your oneness. What is that like?
My oneness.
Hmm.
Well, because I'm a feeling being, it's a feeling. And it's a feeling of completeness, a feeling of acceptance, a feeling of my heart feels very open. Like I actually feel like I'm just so part of everything. Like there's no separation between me and what's happening. There's just me here, and I'm completely at ease and at peace. I'm comfortable in my own skin, just being here, one with everything. And I do think that that's about understanding the things that we have hooked onto in our lifetime emotionally that draw us out of that. So if I hooked onto judgment as a way of feeling better about myself every time I judge, I get pulled out of my oneness. If I hook onto blame or shame, or trying to control people, or trying to fix things, any of those things that I'm programmed to hook onto, every time I hook onto them, I get pulled out of my oneness. So I have to be aware of these strategies that I used to use. Because if I can see them for what they are, which is just a strategy, then I don't get pulled into them anymore. And also I can prevent them from happening. So I'm more likely to have success, which for me is staying in my oneness. And that has a real flow about it. So my whole life is in this flow. It's beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's something for me that I am learning.
We're all learning, Scott.
Yeah.
And the more we learn, the less we know that we know.
Yeah, exactly. Which is cool, isn't it?
It's very cool.
I like it. Yeah. It's after listening now, Lisa, I'm feeling that is success the right word, or is it
No,
what brings
it's
you
not the
joy?
right word. That's an old
What brings
paradigm
you
word.
joy?
I'm telling you
Yeah.
now, that's an old paradigm word.
It
So we're
is.
looking into the new
And
realm.
what brings you joy, or what brings you love, or what brings you peace? And that's wow, I really love that. Thank you. I'll be changing the name in my courses, because it is. It's what brings you joy. What brings
And
you.
there is a lot of we lost Scott.
That's right.
There's a lot of words. There's a lot of words that we need to change.
Yes.
Some of them are like, I might have mentioned this the other day, like triggering. I never use the word trigger. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's triggered." Never say that.
No, I don't
because
know.
it's like a gun.
Either.
So I use the word activation. So things can activate me.
Yeah.
But an activation is a good thing, right? Because an activation gets you to have a look at what you need to look at. So activation has a positive feel about it. So if we use the word activation, it actually encourages us to look at what's happening. But if we use triggered, it's a bad thing. And so we're still trying to separate ourselves from it. So there's a whole lot of words that are going to be coming into use. That and because a lot of the words that we use now, they've been corrupted. Even love, the word love has been corrupted. There are a lot of corruptions in our vocabulary that we don't need to take with us when we're stepping into a new realm.
Beautiful.
I know. He'll be back. We did miss you though, Scott. We did miss you.
Oh, come on, a little bit. We pressed the eject button for a while.
This is the beautiful thing, right? And I did an interview which will be put up probably next week with Jack Levi, Elliot Goblet, and talking about in the past, it's always been about getting things right, getting things perfect, for the TV and getting all these things 100%. Got to look your best, got to do all this. But it's not authentic. It's not real. I think as a civilization, we're tired of this projection of things that aren't authentic. And it is.
How do you know what's authentic, Scott?
Brilliant. And for me, I get activated when things aren't. I feel something is wrong. What's wrong about this? Okay, I need to sit with that. I need to learn and understand why I don't trust this situation. Because it's so important right now.
There's always something, isn't there? Like when things aren't authentic, there's no substance. So authentic things have a lot of substance. But what you're saying is true. It's like things just aren't quite right. And more you watch it, it's like, there's just not clarity. So things that are authentic are very clear and very simple, and you can feel it. I think this is a good conversation to have right now.
Yeah, I mean.
What do you think, Karen? What is authentic? How do you tell if something's authentic?
Yeah, I go back to my gut. I can feel it. You just know. You just, we live in such a dense world. And I think the denser it gets and the more, I think it's the people trying to control you and trying to change your way of looking at things that you sort of go, no, let's just sit back and let's just see, sort of thing. And I think the more, I don't know, to me there just seems like there's a bit of a deadline at the moment, and I don't know what the deadline's about. I don't have no idea, and it's just like, let's just wait and see. I don't know whether it's because we're racing towards the end of the year or what it is, but yeah.
Racing towards the end of the consciousness.
No, the end of 2021. I'm racing towards a new consciousness, which is not a bad thing. But
that's a good thing. Let's race there.
Yeah.
I'll put on my running shoes.
Yeah, but I do feel there's a bit of a detour for some, or a stop sign for some. So yeah. No, yeah.
Gandhi said that he made a quote, and it was something like, truth can always be discovered through the process of logic. And I thought, that's really practical. It's so practical. So authenticity can be discovered through the process of pure logic. It's asking unbiased questions. Unbiased questions. Why would that happen? And what would that mean if that happened? And why would that person do that? And what's the reason? And what's behind that? And what's their motive? If you ask for motive is a good way. And so the more you'd apply that logic, and if your questioning is unbiased,
that's the
you
thing.
You will get to authentic truth.
But your beliefs are going to get in the way, possibly, of asking the right questions.
But I don't think you'd be asking the questions if your beliefs are in the way.
True. If you've been, yes. But it is always the questions, isn't it? The quality of your life always comes down to the quality of
Absolutely.
the questions you ask yourself.
Absolutely. The quality of the questions you ask. That's a great quote. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in that. Quality of the question determines the quality of the answer. So
because there's always an answer waiting to be revealed, and then for every answer revealed, there's an action step waiting to be taken. So that's the thing. You've got to start with the question, receive the answer, receive the action step, move forward.
Well, do you mind if we open this up? I wasn't planning on going here, but I'm just going to put my cards on the table.
Are you sure?
I don't like the way in which we've been led. I don't like the way in which I don't believe that my interests are at the heart of the people making decisions right now. When we've got leaders
You
who
know who's
lead,
making decisions right now, Scott?
that's half the battle. Who is making decisions? I'm happy to sit at the table to discuss life situations. I'm happy to discuss the big topics about whether or not we are overpopulated. Is there a way to deal with that? I'm happy to sit here and discuss, do we need control? Do we not need control? I'm happy to discuss, can we take responsibility for ourselves? Can we teach people the responsibility that we've handed over to other people by not taking responsibility for our own actions, by not owning our stories? I'm happy to sit there. At the moment, I'm living a life to my terms. I'm living a life that I design for me, that comes from heart and value and connection and love, and I think it's phenomenal. But I do question, what are the motives of people who make decisions? Are they based on all of us, or are they based on another avenue which they want for themselves? Do they even want to be sitting in the chair? And I'll say this openly. I look at James Packer. I look at James Packer as a man who's sitting in an ivory tower in Sydney that has been gifted his father's business that he probably didn't want, that he was told that he would fail by his own father. And I just look at him and I go, mate, I'm here for you. I want to know you. I want to know where your heart's at. Because I think you're a good man. I don't think you've made mistakes. I think you've had lessons. But I'd love to see what you do with the rest of your life with your heart. And I'm here to help you. I'd love that. What are the people who make the big decisions? Where are their hearts? Are they brave enough to step forward and show it? I'm here to listen. I want to know. I care about you. Lisa.
That's interesting, Scott, because I have a feeling around that, and I'm going to be completely honest, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in where they're at. I'm interested in humanity and where humanity can move to. And I'm actually not interested in going back into those places with those sorts of people and wondering where they're at. It's just for me. Because I feel like I want to look forward, and I don't feel like I need to step over there. This is how I just feel it. I don't feel like I need to step over there. I feel like we can go this way together, and whoever wants to come, whoever wants to start living in love, whoever wants to live by their values, which is sometimes hard, because when you live by your values and your truth, you may have to sacrifice some personal freedoms. But if you don't have your values or your truth, do you have freedom? So it is challenging, right? But for me, it's like we move to these places and people, we can be these examples. We can live our lives as best as we can and we can support people, but it's up to everybody to choose to move into that love, to move into that truth. It's not, and I love you. That's what's so special about you, Scott, is that you are so willing to understand people and go into that place. And for you, that's a learning experience. For me, that's just not part of my experience. But we all need to be here, right? We all need to do these different things.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I love and honour that, because that's the beauty of this. If we don't have a differing opinion that we can accept and walk through together and take on what I think is the new opportunity that is acceptance and love and appreciation, then how do we get to move to the next place? And I say, how do we get to move to the next place when I think the people on screen here are already moving through it? You know?
Some nice comments are coming up.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that then. I'm just going to pop this up, and I'm sorry to get your name on, which I'd love to do. You actually got to get StreamYard permission to actually join, but I love it. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the question. Such a great quote, Karen Chaston, and I agree, Scott. I'm saddened that the leadership of this country is not hitting the mark for our people. Love the quality of this conversation, and I thank you very much for that comment.
Type your name in.
Yeah, type your name in, please. I'd love to know. So, but I would. The leadership of this country is definitely an opportunity, because I actually looked into going into politics, and then I looked at the job of what is at hand to be a politician and what needs to be done, and it didn't suit me. I'm not going to walk into their bar and pick a fight. I'm going to build a new bar where the drinks. It
would be lovely, though, wouldn't it, to see some really top-notch leaders, like, you know. And I'm not having a go at anyone or dissing anyone, but you know, like, we've had some amazing, over the last century, some incredible human beings that have led nations. They've led nations.
Yeah.
We don't see leaders like that at the moment. We need more of them.
I think they're coming. I think there's a lot of people now who are coming. They're you know, I was going to say they're behind the scenes, but they're not behind the scenes. They're working really hard, and they're really starting to come back to, you know, the people vote you in, you're for the people. And unfortunately, it hasn't been that way for a while, but I feel it's coming back to that. We're here for the people. We're public servants. We are here to serve the people. And I truly believe that it's coming a lot sooner than you probably realise.
Yeah, I feel that. And I actually don't often do this, but I really want to honour a politician. There's a politician by the name of Peter Murphy, and she works tirelessly in her community to go and be a part of all the community events she could possibly get to go and say, hi, how are you? And put up all notifications about that little community event. She had breast cancer, going through breast cancer in chemo, and still out there on the trail telling people, this is my community. How do we help you in my community? I have great hope for what's to come when we sit here and have conversations like this, and we challenge each other with our hearts on our sleeves. What a beautiful world we're moving into. I'm just a tear. I'm just so grateful that this is our opportunity right now to come from love, appreciation, and growing. Oh, feels fantastic. Sorry. Well, I'm looking at the time, and we're at an hour already, and the Campfire Project is full of amazing people who do talk like this, who have conversations, and we choose our conversations we have with each other and the actions that we take so that we do grow. So thank you to everybody for being a part of the Campfire Project. But I strongly encourage you that if you see something on screen, grab someone, say, hey, how are you? Reach out. If you see someone on screen that's touched your heart, let them know. Because it's important. Because that way we start connection, communication, And that's where it's all at from me. So on that, tonight, I've truly adored our conversation. I really have. And thank you both. But as per usual, I'm going to ask you for one bit of advice. And tonight, one bit of advice is to an up-and-coming future leader. What's your one bit of advice to an up-and-coming future leader? Lisa?
Know yourself. Because that's where the power is, the true power.
Love that. Karen?
I'm going to go to my trusty little cards that I've got here, which are the general spiritual guidance cards. I'm not going to, I've actually, I chose this for myself earlier today, and it's called the Dance of Life. Okay? And it's come up many times for me. And I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to read it all. I'm just going to read a section because I feel this is it. Life leads us on a journey of love and loss. At times we cannot find sanctuary within our soul when life seems so incomplete. Love is the energy that we breathe, and we need it to sustain us. Allow the passion of love to ignite in your soul. It is the very breath of our being.
Very nice.
And yeah, I just feel that's where we're all going. We're all going to come from love. I know that I am saying I love you and genuinely meaning it, whereas before I would have thought it and not voiced it. And that's what I love. And I love you guys. It's so cool to hang out with you for an hour. We always have delicious conversation.
We do. We do.
I love it. And it's so true. We do have delicious conversations, and it all comes from love, and we are moving into it. We're learning, remembering how to love. And we look at babies, and they come into the world, and we gift them love. That's all they get from us. And
they are pure love when they come in.
That's right.
100%.
That's what they're gifting us, actually.
What you do is watch it. You watch a baby. You know, I have like 2 grandchildren around me at the moment, and one more in a week's time that's coming in, a little girl. And you watch them go through their emotions. It's so easy. It just literally flows through them. They don't stop it. They're crying one minute, they're angry, they're fighting, they're yelling, and the next moment, their peace, their joy. It's amazing. Why do we ever tell them don't act like that? Don't do that. You know, they actually have their energy in motion perfect.
Yes.
They do. And I love that. And I just, I have so much to bring on that, but I don't want to do that tonight. I want to sort of leave it there. But I just, tonight, and thank you, Karen, so much for being here. Thank you, Lisa, so much for being here. But tonight, I just want to finish on a little ode to Carl, to a man that came into my life for a moment, that I had the opportunity to love. You live in my heart forever. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Camp, for being here. Thank you for being part of our hearts. Have a fantastic night. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you both.
Bye, everyone.